is now.
India's identity has always been its farms and fields. But beneath this proud legacy lies a crisis. A crisis, if unaddressed, will not only impact the farmers, but the very fabric of our nation. Today, let me talk about the hidden challenges of Indian agriculture and why it might impact each and every one of us. Let me start with some stats that might scare you. We use more than 80% of our freshwater reserves for agriculture. Yet, more than 52% of our agricultural land depends on rainwater, making it highly vulnerable to climate change. This in a country where water scarcity is a looming crisis. In my opinion, our agriculture output is a quarter of the global average. In a country where more than 50% of population depends on agriculture, isn't this staggering? High use of pesticides and fertilizers leads to greenhouse emissions and further damages the environment. We are losing our topsoil at an alarming rate, and without fertile soil, there's no future for farming. In my view, our technology adoption in agriculture is a mere 10% as compared to China's 70%. And this is highlighted in our practices like stubble burning, which not only wastes our resources, but significantly adds to pollution. Increasingly, farming has been looked at as a poor man's job, causing the young generation to abandon it. And most heartbreaking, the use of chemicals in agriculture leads to cancer and other health concerns, like the infamous cancer train that runs in some parts of the country. All this crisis leads to one grim statistics. The average monthly income of our farmers is a mere 10,000 rupees, a figure that should deeply concern all of us. But let me tell you how my journey into agriculture began. I started growing in 2017 fruits and vegetables in my garden. Like many others with no formal knowledge, just curiosity and Google. I wanted to find the best products and methods to grow healthy crops. But to my surprise, India offered very little beyond pesticides and fertilizers. This curiosity made me to travel the world. I visited farms in US, Europe, and China, and the stark differences I found there were overwhelming. I not only found modern agricultural methods, but a respect for agriculture as a science and a way of life. That's when it struck me that I had to be part of the change and help the Indian farmers not just survive, but thrive. Let me talk about some global comparisons. In the US, Sunday is celebrated as a grocery day, where it's a ritual in appreciation of fresh produce. In contrast, the Indian farmers struggle to find the fair prices for their produce. Let's take cotton as an example. China has quadrupled its cotton output in the last 40 years, whereas India has completely stagnated. Why? Better policies, planning, and innovation. Lastly, we lag far behind in our water conservation activities. China manages to collect about 75 to 80% of their rooftop water, whereas we manage a miserly 20 to 25%. And it is even worse in rural India, where it is about 8 to 10%. This, my friends, is not just an opportunity lost, but a necessity ignored. Here's something to think about. Why doesn't agronomy, the science of agriculture, receive the same respect as engineering, medicine? India spends a meager 0.3% of its GDP on agriculture research as compared to China's 0.6% and Brazil's 1.8%. Imagine if we integrate modern methods of agriculture in our educational system, It can revolutionize how agriculture is perceived and practiced. Imagine if schools start teaching soil health and water conservation like they teach physics or math. It can inspire a whole generation that values sustainable agriculture. Lastly, if we want India to remain self-sufficient in food production, we must adapt technology, mechanized methods of agriculture, and water conservation. But most importantly, it requires a cultural shift to think of agriculture not just as a past, but as a future. Our farmers don't just deserve gratitude for the food they put on our plates. They deserve much more. They deserve support, innovation, and most importantly, respect from all of us. Come together, let's make agriculture India's pride again. Thank you.